right, we are here once again with more non-backwards compatible Xbox 360 goodness that you may or may not want to pick up due to the store closing down very soon. No FOMO here, no price inflating nonsense either, just a love for one of the best consoles to ever grace this world.
I wish I could tell you who to trust. You are operating under Alpha Protocol.
Sega's track record when it came to publishing and developing games for the 360 is iffy at best to say the least. It seemed like their whole ruddy mantra was gotta go fast, and what I mean by that is they seemed to rush games out the door before they were even fully finished. You know, fully cooked, the best they can be. One such game is the incredibly overlooked and way ahead of its time little gem known as Alpha Protocol. That, even with a troubled development history and a ton of jank, still shines thanks to its mix of deep, well thought out RPG mechanics and absolutely gripping story where every choice or dialogue option feels like they have genuine weight and a true, meaningful outcome on how the story unfolds. Think of it as a spy-themed Mass Effect and you'll kinda get the idea. Sure, the shooting and stealth mechanics do leave a lot to be desired, but they're nowhere near as bad as people say they are, and everything else the game offers more than makes up for its lack of polish. Alpha Protocol's price hasn't been affected by all that FOMO fear-mongering either, so for only £2.50, what have you got to lose? Other than £2.50, of course. Darkwatch is one of my favourite hidden gems on the OG Xbox, so when I saw the box art for Damnation I was like, holy fecking Mr. Hanky, it got a sequel! But unfortunately no, Damnation isn't a sequel to that classic. But ignoring all that, is it any good? Well, if a steampunk combination of Gears of War style shooting and Uncharted traversal damns that pickle of yours, then maybe like me you can look past Damnation's many flaws and just enjoy its vertical slice of futuristic western themed platforming and gunplay based shenanigans for what they are, by turning your brain off to enjoy the goofy, grand adventure of this distinctly silly tale, then you may just be pleasantly surprised by Damnation. I'm not sure if this is still playable cooperatively online, but if it is, well then that's the best way to go with this one. Sure, it ain't perfect, but for the most part it's at least a ruddy, if janky good time. Even better, you're not gonna struggle to find it, and it won't break the bank either.
My story was just getting interesting too.
Another game I loved despite all of its decaying flaws, warts, jank, bugs and all is Never Dead. You see, Never Dead's concept, music, overall stylistic tone, and stupid dismemberment gameplay mechanic is far more interesting than actually playing the game. As well, Never Dead is downright broken at times, which is just a gosh darn ruddy shame, as hacking and slashing as an undead immortal demon hunter who just so happens to have the ability to control each of his dismembered limbs and regrow them when needed is just so unique that when in comparison to the unpolished gameplay, just feels like wasted potential. But if you stick with the game, choose your upgrades wisely and just enjoy the novelty of rolling your severed head around to solve puzzles, then the game has a distinct Devil May Cry meets Suda 51 weirdness charm that's too hard not to love.
It was a long journey to this place, and I'm not going back.
So there's one reason I picked up Xblade, and that's thanks to the box art. 10 Microsoft points to anyone who guesses why. Well, obviously it's due to the, butt so prevalently shown on the cover, of course. But me being a pixel perv aside, is Xblade's worth your time and hard-earned ruddy cash? Well, if you can find the bloody game and have ever wanted a cel-shaded DMC-esque hacking, slashing and jiggling shenanigans-based third-person action-adventure game where you play as a half-naked anime girl, then yes. But truth be told, it's not a great game, it's just an alright game. As you run from encounter to encounter, occasionally switch up your magic to take down different elemental-based creatures, and then you move on and do it again and again and again. If you can find it cheap, then grab it, but if not, don't let the FOMO consume you.
Who are you? I'm an asshole with a gun and a cool suit.
Have you ever wanted to be a bender?
No!
Well, Wanted Weapons of Fate lets you do that by taking the physics-breaking shenanigans of bending bullets round corners seen in the comic and movie and turning it into a gleefully satisfying gameplay mechanic. But Wanted isn't a one-trick pony, however, and is instead a hyper-violent, fast-paced third-person shooter that revels in being a simple, bloody, and ruddy good time that's not to be missed. Yes, it's dumb, but oh, is it fun. Technically, the game follows up the events of the movie, but doesn't focus on all that loom stupidity jazz, and instead just gives you the badass suit from the comics and lets you wreak havoc in awesome gratuitous style. And yeah, the ability to curve bullets round corners is as awesome as it sounds. At the time of recording, to get this game physically is only £6 and is the perfect weekend binge.
When you're dead and buried, you got all the time in the world to plot revenge.
Look, I'm under no illusion that the Kinect era of the 360 was probably the lowest point for the console. But it wasn't all bad, and a few games just about made the all non-seeing eye of the camera a worthwhile investment. One such example is the Gunstringer. Brought to us by Twisted Pixel, the game follows an undead cowboy who's out for revenge on his old posse. Standard ruddy stuff really, but the game is oozing with Twisted Pixel's signature flair, style, and silly humour. Essentially, the game is an on-rail shooter, but the draw here is to shoot your gun you have to actually use your hand like a finger pistol. Pew 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 pew.
Hey, Carmen, what does finger bang mean anyways? I heard it on HBO. It means like, when you pretend to use your finger like a gun or something.
It's like that banned Xbox advert come to life. Anyone remember that? The game also features co-op finger blasting action too.
Try one finger at a time.
Yum.
2 fingers.
Okay.
And then, if everybody's cool with it, work up to 3.
No.
Immature jokes aside, the game is genuinely great and will only cost you £1 English, with some copies even having Fruit Ninja bundled in too. Is body count as good as Black? Nah, not at all. Oh yeah, by the way, Black is currently on sale on the 360 store and has aged like fine ruddy wine and is a must play. But its spiritual successor, Body Count, couldn't quite capture the beautiful symphony of bullets that made the OG such a classic. But yet, Body Count's point-racking, combo-building, score-chasing, first-person action is just meaty enough and just mindless enough that if played in extremely short bursts can still be semi-enjoyable. It's a hard game to truly defend, but its weapons feel great to use, the destructible environments are well realized, and the sound design is top notch. Sure, there are much better first person shooters out there, but if you want to let the bodies hit the floor, then this one's only going to set you back £5.
Who's next?
Taking everything they learnt from their first foray into open world carnage with the phenomenal Hulk, Ultimate Destruction, the talented and heavily missed team at Radical Entertainment gave us Gamer's Prototype, then a few years later followed it up with Prototype 2. If you're like me and you're sick of modern open world games feeling more like a job than, escapism enter ruddy-tainment, well then these games will likely tickle that mutated pickle of yours. As you zip around landscapes on the brink of a virus-led apocalypse, slicing and dicing your way through all manner of enemies while constantly evolving your movesets in some truly special ways and causing absolute destructive carnage wherever you go is just such a batshit insanely good time, even to this day. And while the first game is a blast, the second game doubles down on all the visceral violence, gore, edge and crazy chaos, and in an unexpected move, Prototype 2 follows the events of the first game, but this time you're a new character hunting down the original game's protagonist with a lot of decent twists and turns along the way. And what else can I say? Both games are just good dumb fun done bloody right. And yeah, sure, these games did get bundled as a digital download for the Xbox One, but the bundle is still hella expensive, and both games in some cases look and play worse than the OG releases, so stick to the 360 and get both games for a bargain price of just £4.50.
Yes.
And that's all for now, folks. If you liked what you saw, well, drop us a like. If you didn't, moan about the immature butt jokes down below in the comments, but more importantly, just stay tipsy.